So welcome back, everybody, to... Welcome, everybody, to We Talk Film. I'm your host, as always, Barry, joined, as always, by Clayton. How you doing, Clayton?
I'm doing good, Barry. We're off to
a great start. That's right. We're just straight into it today.
God.
Just unexpected. We're here, just going for it. Where there's a lot of unexpected things going to happen today in today's episode. That's for sure.
Oh God, yes. Well, as always, we like to kick it off with our little news segment. Hit the button, Barry. We got a bunch new trailers this week. The first one I'd like to talk about is for Amazon's new television series, Fallout, coming April 12th and is based off of the video game series. It looks surprisingly good. They released a bunch of images earlier, and then the trailer that I finally got around to watching today, and I was like, holy shit, this actually looks good. It doesn't look as gritty as I'd hoped, but it feels like they really nailed the kind of more modern Fallout vibe. It's got like definitely that tongue-in-cheek humor to it. The gore and the violence is all there as well, which is good to see. So yeah, we'll check that one out in April. Definitely want to watch that one on here. And then moving away, we got another TV show from Amazon. The Boys Season 4 got a trailer, and this looks really good. It looks like the stakes are more raised, everything's higher, more tense. Barry's staring at me the whole
time. It's good. It's good. Like the Boys, I'm looking forward to it, especially like the Jeffrey Dean Morgan is being in it as well. I'm looking forward to that, and he's the first guy to make a joke about, like, so what do you call the team? The Boys? Fucking shit.
Who's the idiot who came up with that name?
Yeah.
Butcher's like, he's gonna fight him. It looks really good, especially because Gen V was an amazing surprise.
Oh, yes.
I'm really excited to see what they do with the mainline show. All right, moving away, we got a movie. This is a movie that I forgot was coming out, and I forgot was in the works, and it seemed like we had no news about until the trailer dropped. It's called Furiosa. It is a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, starring Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. Right. It's also got Chris Hemsworth in it, and a bunch of other people. I'm not sure how I feel about this trailer. It looks a little CGI heavy. It doesn't look like it's going to be as gripping as Fury Road or the other Mad Max movies. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it looks like it might be fun.
It still looks fun. I'm looking forward to seeing Chris Hemsworth as the villain this time around, because he's going to be the bad guy at it. Like, his character seems wacky and insane. But yeah, it does look very CGI heavy, even compared to the last Mad Max movie. This looks a lot more like, let's just CGI everything and everyone.
Very weird. Very weird, because I really love Fury Road, and I love Mad Max, the first and second one, so I'm always excited for more, considering it's still George Miller. He's still doing it. He's nearly 700 years old, but he's still making Mad Max films.
He's still going.
It makes me want a sequel to the original. I want a movie set between 1 and 2. It's like, I want him to do that before he dies, but it's like, we're getting this. That's okay. All right, another TV show that we got that I, again, had no idea was in the works. Nobody had heard anything about this, really. It's called Ted. It is a prequel series to the movie.
Yep.
Set in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like just become a teddy bear, and it's kind of good. It looks like it's kind of making fun of itself as well.
Oh yeah.
Which of course the Ted movies were surprisingly fun. They had a cool little idea. And this looks like it's more of the same. I mean, it's still
it's just more Ted, and like growing up and everything like that in the 90s as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Looks like it'll be fun. And then the final thing that we got is a trailer that I saw just before I came on the podcast. Jason Statham. It's called The Beekeeper. It looks like it's trying to do a John Wicky thing, but way more over the top, where he's a beekeeper that like kills people and brings down government agents or something. It looks so stupid.
Okay. I haven't even seen it or know anything about it. That's yeah.
I saw it like 20 minutes ago, and I was like, this looks so stupid. I have to talk about it.
Sounds stupid.
It looks bad. It looks bad.
Yeah.
But like, laugh at it bad. It looks like Extraction 2, but even more silly. Remember how silly that one was? We talked about on here. It's like that, but just more insane. So
nice.
I kind of want to check that out. But moving away from trailers, we got a bunch of news for a bunch of things. Okay. Naruto, an anime series. It's getting a live action film from Netflix. And it's being written by the showrunner who's doing the animated Tomb Raider series, also for Netflix, Tasha Wow. So I don't know. It's hard to judge that because that animated series hasn't come out yet. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet, but
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm not really clamoring for a Naruto live action.
No, well, they did all right. I think the reason why they're doing it is because like One Piece has done so well.
Yeah.
And so that it's like, let's do every single anime we have the rights to, essentially,
Oh,
and
definitely.
not do Cowboy
Definitely.
Bebop again.
Oh
Remember
God, I
that?
wish they'd
Remember when
do it
that was the
again,
thing?
but do it fully. Oh God, I gave
Yeah,
up on that show after the second episode. I was like, this is
yeah,
so
that was
sad.
fucking garbage.
I know, I know. And all right, speaking of garbage, this is something that isn't garbage. The Boys is getting a second spin-off show after Gen V. They're like, let's just do other stuff. This one's set in Mexico, and that's all we know about it. It's not following anything from the comics, so it's kind of its own little thing. I have no idea what to expect. I think it'll be good, considering Gen V was surprisingly good. If it's the same people doing something different again, sure,
Yeah,
I'm all for it. I mean, yeah, it seems like the mainline series is slowly coming to an end, so I'm sure that these little spin-off things in between, it's a great idea. And it's even better if they're good. So we have to wait and see where that one goes.
yeah. Diego Luna is
Okay.
like a EP for it or something like the guy, the
Yeah,
Andor
yeah.
guy. Yeah,
Yes, which he's great, and if he's in it as like we think he is, that'll be awesome. I'm all for seeing him do a different role, like something out of The Boys. That'll be
yeah,
insane.
that'd be cool.
All right, moving over to James Cameron. He's given us some news on Avatar 3. He says it's still on track for a Christmas release in 2025. He said 2 years of post-production now because the movie's been filmed. So he said it's going to be a long 2 years of post-production, but it's going to come out Christmas 2025. Sure.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
I really liked Way of Water, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where
I
it's going to
just
go next.
yeah, it's like I will go and watch it. That's the thing. Like they're always entertaining, same as the last one, and visually and how
Oh,
they
it's
make it all
fun.
is absolutely amazing. But it's just like, yeah, okay, cool. It's coming out then, even though they filmed it like 10 years ago. So like all the actors and
Yeah.
actresses, there's something like that. Who's Zoe Saldana, who plays as I forget the
The
Avatar lady,
wife. Yeah,
the
what's her
wife
name?
in it. Yeah, she's going to be like 50 by the time the last one comes out.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
just like, oh.
Oh, James Cameron's gonna be 206 by the time that one comes
Exactly.
out. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But like they shot this one at the same time as they shot Avatar 2, so that
Yep.
the actors wouldn't age, and so they'd have this other thing, which I mean is fair enough. I mean
Yep.
that's a good enough reason to do it. If the guy's written these movies, he can make them. Sure, I'm sure they'll be good. I really love the first two, so I'm all for there being more Avatar stuff.
Yeah.
All right, moving away to something else that I'm happy they're doing more of. The Last of Us Season 2. We got an announcement that it's going to feature content in its episodes that wasn't in the second game. It's featuring stuff from the Lost Levels, which was recently included in the remastered version of The Last of Us 2 for the PlayStation 5. But so we're going to see new shit that we haven't seen, stuff that wasn't in that game. They're kind of
Ooh.
adding elements to the story, which will hopefully improve it. Even
Hopefully.
though I really like Last of Us 2 from like a gameplay perspective, but from a story perspective, it's not that great.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully the show does it justice and does it better.
Yep.
Knowing the flaws of the show and the pros and whatever. But I mean, yeah. Spoilers for The Last of Us. In the second game, Joel dies within like the first 20 minutes.
Rip.
So hopefully the stuff that's included is before he dies, so we get more Pedro Pascal because he's great in this show. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see where that comes out. That comes out next year, I think, at some point.
Well, no, they're
I don't
filming next year. They're filming in February.
know.
So it won't be
Okay.
for like another year on top of that, if not 2 years.
I thought they were already filming it.
No, they don't
I
start filming to
thought.
February of next year.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yep.
I know the news. What are you on about?
You know the
I am the
news.
news, man. All right, Avengers. Avengers. The writer for the Loki series, the showrunner, the main writer dude who's come up with the idea and given this the first 2 amazing seasons of that show, has been connected to Avengers Kang Dynasty as the main writer. He's going to basically helm that story-wise and basically start writing that now in order for it to
Yeah.
come out in a
Yeah.
couple years. If there's anyone working at Marvel, I think that's the guy for it, considering how well Loki season 2 did with the whole multiversal time travel wacky shenanigans. I feel like Kang Dynasty needs someone of that caliber, so hopefully he doesn't get overwhelmed and hopefully he creates this really amazing grounded story with these characters. Considering there's like 400 characters in this film, it's going to be tough for this dude, but I hope he does it justice because apparently he's also doing Secret Wars, but he will start doing that afterwards if it goes to plan. So again,
Yeah.
another good sign. They
Yeah.
get the same guy to
Just
do
just
both
keep that
films.
yeah, keep that guy in charge of it all and stuff like that. Make him the new Kevin
Yeah.
Feige.
Oh yeah. No, that's me. I'll do that. Get us attached. We'll do it. We'll do Secret Wars, Disney. Listen to us because we know what we're talking about. And someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, speaking of Disney, the Disney CEO, Bob Iger, has released a statement about the Marvels. And this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This is the funniest little statement I've ever heard because it really tells the difference between people making these films and people financing these films. Because he says the main reason that the Marvels is underperforming is because there was a lack of studio executives on the set. That is the only reason, according to Bob Iger. This guy's an idiot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, he
That's
doesn't
so
make too much sense.
stupid.
That is very stupid to say.
You think? It feels like there was too many studio execs on it already.
Yeah.
Like the film didn't know what it wanted to do. It was so bad, and the writing was terrible. It
Yep.
needs better writers, if anything, and less studio interference. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just get
Oh my
competent
god.
people to actually make your storylines and actually tell the
Yeah.
directors and the writers what's going on in other films.
Yeah.
So it is actually
Yep.
all connected and stuff like that. And then you don't have like the Eternals now, which is 5 years old at this point and has a giant humanoid
Yeah.
thing in that out of the ocean. Not a single film's
Oh
mentioned
god.
that.
We bring it up. We've talked about that giant head more than the MCU has talked about the
We
giant
have. We
celestial in
have.
the ocean. Which is really funny. But yeah, no, it's so stupid because it's like if you want people to make good movies, let them make the good movies. Stop telling them how to do it. Focus on making sure everyone knows what they're doing rather than telling them what to do. It's whatever. Anyway, moving away to some good news. Oppenheimer is selling out of its physical copies across the US. Which is great because it's a W for physical media. It means
It
people
is.
are
It is. It
buying it.
is. Yep.
It's showing
I
them
know.
that
I
hey,
have
we
a
can actually
copy.
make
I've
more.
got one.
You have
I
a
managed to grab one.
I will get one eventually because I rewatched it the other night and it's still pretty good. So I will definitely pick it up again. The copies are pretty easy to find here, so I guess it's maybe an exclusively US or UK thing where it's a little bit hard in some retail outlets. I don't know. It's fine, but it's good because it's making people crack down on it and win because that ties into our next story, our last story of the night, which I feel like is an important one, tying into the whole physical media versus digital media. PlayStation have taken or are planning to take off a bunch of titles from their TV store and video section just because of content. Like they no longer had the license for things. So if you've purchased certain
Oh.
TV shows from a lot of Discovery Media, including shows like Mythbusters, if you've purchased any of those on the PlayStation Store, you will lose access to them after December 31st. They will be gone from your library, downloaded. If you have it, if you got it, you cannot watch it again. It is gone forever, and you don't get a refund. There is nothing they will do, and it really sucks if you bought any of those because that shows you the downsides of digital media is you don't
Oh
really
yeah.
own these things. The
Yep.
the company sells you a license to look at it, and they can remove
Wow.
it whenever you want. It's
Yep.
awful. because yeah, it's making things harder and harder to find, especially digitally, where streaming is the commonplace way to go. No one buys DVDs except for Oppenheimer, apparently. So it's devastating to hear that. Luckily, I haven't bought anything. The only thing I've bought on PlayStation Video is Alien, and I got it for like $2 on a sale. So I had that on
That's all
there,
right then. That's fine.
and I don't think that one's going anywhere. I also have that on physical media, so that doesn't really bother me if that goes missing. But
Yep.
yeah, don't buy physical media if you can. That's the moral of the news
Yeah,
segment. We're
that
gonna
is
have
the moral
morals.
of the news segment. We're gonna have morals here, you know. We talk to
Every
we definitely
news
have
segment,
morals.
we have morals.
We have morals.
Considering how you started off this episode, I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, we're on a fine line of morals for this show. That's
I
for
feel like,
sure.
oh, do we even have a line? Where is the
We
line,
don't have a
Barry?
line anymore. We don't need a line. Okay, well, that is
Oh,
the news for
yeah.
this week. What a sense of news. What a long bit of news compared to like the past few weeks. You know, that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot we had to get through.
Nothing
But
happened, and now everything happened.
Now everything's happening all at once, all at
Oh
single
god.
time. Just like this upcoming clip.
You want to be great. You are nothing without me. Say it.
I believe I speak for all of us. We will all sleep again without this vermin.
Whose country are we in? Mine.
So, yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
went to go and see Napoleon, which is Ridley Scott's new film about the great Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's legitimately like what's it about? And his wife Josephine and everything, and all his battles. Well, most of his battles we hear of it, don't see
Some
him
of his
anyway.
battles.
Some of his battles, I think only 3 of his battles. But yes, we have
Somewhat.
Walking Phoenix as Napoleon Bonaparte and Vanessa Kirby as Josephine Bonaparte, which is his wife, and then a whole bunch of other actors playing a whole bunch of other people from history that I don't even know about
Yeah.
or can't pronounce their names because it's
Peoples.
all Italian.
It's French.
It's French.
Italian? French.
It's
Napoleon's
Italian.
French. Jesus Christ.
Imagine if he was Italian.
Started off by getting it wrong. You can't be like Napoleon, the French guy.
The French guy.
Why'd you call him everyone knows he's like the only famous French person, and you call him Italian?
Yeah. Because that's how much I think of this film.
Oh god. All right, okay. So Napoleon is a long
The
movie.
French guy.
It is the French guy, not the Italian. No, the French guy. It's a long movie. It's over 2.5 hours. Starring a bunch of non-French people playing French people. From history, and basically just details. Well, not so much the rise, but mostly the kind of middle part to the fall of Napoleon Bonaparte's career as a general and then as king of France. So, it's an insane investment to get yourselves into in cinema, especially when it feels rushed, even though it's 2.5 hours long. Which is what this movie did. This movie spends about 2 hours focusing on his relationship with his wife in a weird sort of way, and then having
Which he was a pretty weird guy.
40-minute. It was weird. We'll talk about that in a bit. But it spends the other 40 minutes or so on his battles. Specifically, Waterloo gets about half an hour, and that is the coolest part of the film. It's the finale, and it's awesome. The battles in this movie are amazing. I wanted that to be the entire film, and I didn't want to hear about his wife ever again or his personal relationships.
Yeah.
Because that was so cool. And then we get another 20 minutes of like 3 other battles. One of them goes for like 2 seconds. The other one goes for about 15 minutes. And then the fires on the pyramid that goes for about another 3 seconds.
And then we have the
so
whole
annoying. Russian
invasion and stuff like that. That was just kind of there.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was really cool. It's like there's this movie here that's really cool and has got some of the greatest looking battles I've seen in a long ass time, especially for historical epics. And then it kind of puts them to the back burner and doesn't show you any of the cool stuff. Like
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
it and then it's over, and then all of a sudden his wife is cheating on him and he's sad about it for the next half an hour.
Yep.
That's Napoleon.
That's Napoleon, everyone. All right, that's a wrap. On to the next one. But
No,
yes,
right.
yes, this was a very interesting take upon Napoleon, I must say, on how we do it at all and stuff like
It's
that.
not
Especially,
what I thought he was gonna do.
No,
It's not what I
no.
would have done either, really. I mean, he's a war general, but we don't see much of the actual war generaling.
Yes,
You
yes.
know?
So yeah, this is
Yeah.
very much like definitely more of a dramatic piece and a more like personal story. I think Ridley Scott was trying to tell
Yeah.
in this film,
Yeah.
where at the end of the day, I don't think it worked out too well and not what people
so.
were wanting out of it. Because that's the thing. It's a lot of talking in this movie. Like a lot. There is so much
None
politics.
of it is in a French. Either.
None of
No
it's in French either. They all sound very good English or very good American.
There is no French accents
There
in
is
this film
no
at all
French
whatsoever.
accent, no Italian accents either, which is bizarre.
It's really funny.
But yeah, it was just like, so we'll get down to the story and the nitty gritty of it all.
Yes.
That obviously, yes, it is meant to be about Napoleon's great take on like where he did conquer France and everything like that. He did become their king at one point, or their emperor and everything like that. And this is the thing where it kind of fell down a bit because we know about his great battles. Well, he won 60 out of his 61 battles in his lifetime.
That's a pretty good track record.
That's a pretty good track record. But here's the thing: we only see like 3 of the battles throughout the movie, and then the rest of the time is with his weird relationship with his wife and how all that went down, which was just like I am not really here for that, because it felt like even the way they were doing it, the interaction, every single scene, it just felt forced and didn't really need to be there, if you know what I mean. Well, a lot of scenes didn't need to be there.
I will talk about the relationship, but before we do that, we do know that Ridley Scott plans to release like a 4-hour version of this film on Apple. Eventually, I think within the next couple months or so, that's coming out. And I hope that means it's just another 2 hours of the battles, because like a lot of work went into those. So you'd think that that's where all of that goes. I really hope so. And if that's the case, that will definitely bump up the ratings for this film, because that is more of what we want to see. And if we get more of what we want to see, it's going to be a higher rating, of course. But we, unfortunately, for the theatrical release of this film, we got a lot of stuff that didn't work. Namely, the relationship between him and Josephine. Which I will say, I loved Joaquin. I loved the performances of both of them. Joaquin Phoenix and whatever the girl's name was. I feel like they were cool.
Yeah, Vanessa Kirby.
I liked what they did. Vanessa Kirby. Yeah, they were both really cool. But I'm not quite sure that the chemistry was there. It wasn't really anything holding them together.
No.
And I think a lot of that is due to how the story is presented. It opens with a small battle, which is really goddamn cool opening to the film, where he basically goes from captain to like lieutenant general or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And then, then next hour and a half of just him with his wife. He meets once at a party, and then they're married, and then she's cheating on him within the span of like 10 minutes. So there's not enough time spent before any of that happens that you don't really care, and it kind of puts you off, considering it just keeps happening over and over. Joaquin Phoenix is just obsessed with her, and it's like, well, she's just cheating on you every like 5 minutes, and you're not really doing anything. It's a weird way to do a relationship drama, which is what this ultimately is. It's not a war epic. It's a drama film.
Yeah.
It's a historical drama.
Drama.
Yeah,
With
like this
a lot
film's
of
more...
historic inaccuracies, according to a lot of historians.
Yeah, which is... I mean, that's to be assumed, considering Ridley Scott and his historical films. But also, like, if you're going to do a film for the sake of drama, or if you're going to tell something for its historical accuracy, there's 2 different types of films there. And I feel like Napoleon, being such an extravagant, over-the-top character himself and storyteller himself, needed that. but it could have been done in such a better way. And it could have leaned out of the historical inaccuracies in a way, like, it could have started with that he's recounting his adventures in the past, he's recounting his battles.
Yeah.
If it opens with him on the island being like, oh, I did this and this, and the kids are like, that's not how it happened, because that is how it ends, is
Yeah.
it hints at that at the end. But if it did that at the start, kind of storytelling way, then it's like, oh, well, the movie's kind of historically inaccurate because Napoleon himself recounts
Is
history
recounting it.
in in a way that didn't really happen, which is he is known to do. A lot of his historical accounts were falsified or what's the word? I'm blanking here.
Blanking. He's blanking. Oh my god, he's blanking. But yeah, no, there's a lot of like inaccuracies and stuff like that, or they were trying to do with this film, and it just wasn't quite there. And even as well, the pacing of this film, it felt very bloated in a way. Like, that's the thing. Every single war scene that they had in this movie was absolutely well done.
Awesome.
Ridley Scott does absolutely so well with his large like war scenes. He always has since Gladiator and stuff like that. Like, he knows how to direct like war scenes and make them visually look good and stuff like that. But it was just like everything else with the film was just like, what is the point of this? Why am I here watching this? Like, it just, I wasn't like emotionally connected to these characters whatsoever at a single part. Like, I don't even care about Napoleon now because of this film.
Not really.
It's just like, it just made him like a just really weird kind of guy. And as well, going back to the pacing side of it, it's meant to show like his overall career that he had as a general and a commander and then king and everything like that. It all felt like it happened within a couple years.
It did.
If I'm being honest.
It jumps around
so much.
Okay, so for the first thing is this film's set over the span of like 20 years, right? The actors don't age.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. The actors don't age the entire time. So Napoleon when he's 20 looks the same as he does when he's 60.
Yeah.
So that throws off the timeline and also makes you think these events are happening way quicker than they are, which they are happening really quickly. He's captain, he's general, all of a sudden he's king in about half an hour. And it doesn't really show how or why he gets there. It's kind of just someone shows up and he's like, hey, you should be king. And he's like, okay, I'm king now. I'm like, okay, I guess he's king now. When's the stuff I care about? And you go along with it. Like, it's interesting and it's cool, but there's nothing there. There's no substance to what you're seeing. Everything looks amazing. The set design and just the world and all of that is so good, especially when there's huge crowd scenes and everything's going on. You really feel like you're in the 1700s in France. But then the story, it's like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe if you spent more time in each of the parts.
Yeah.
I don't really, you don't care about the characters enough to really.
No, and that's the thing. There's
really
not a lot of like content, but there's a lot of filler. If that's a good way of explaining it. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's the thing. It was just very much like, oh yeah, you should think about becoming king. He's king now. And it was just like, how? What? Why? Like, how do you get from just being a guy to a king, essentially? Like, they don't show that at all. They just and then that's the thing, another thing as well I didn't like about it. They talk about all his battles and what he's done and stuff like that, but they don't actually show it. And you would think, like, for a Napoleon biopic film, which they were trying to go for and everything like that, they would actually show like he's achieving moments, like when how he did become king and everything like that of France, and then when he came back again from being exiled the first time, like a bit more about that, you know, and going up against like the French army as well, you know.
Yeah, because it's just like all of a sudden he's exiled and now all of a sudden he has an army of 100,000 men. That was a span of 2 minutes. The people are like, oh, okay, you're all right. And then all of a sudden, I've got 100,000 men. Let's go fight the army.
Yeah.
Huh? Where did this come from? How are you king? I don't know. It feels like the better way to do this is, spend more time on the aspects of him rising through the ranks and less on the relationship. You can still have that, but have that as a back thing. I don't think you can do both. At least not with this runtime. Maybe with the 4-hour version, you could do it.
We'll see.
But I don't know. It feels like there's just going to be another 2 hours of him talking to his wife in a weird way. I feel like that's what Ridley Scott's going to do with the 4-hour version. But then and then there's the other way that they could have done this and focus on just a slice of Napoleon's life. Just one thing. Have
Yeah.
it focus on Waterloo, for example. Just the whole 2.5 hours is just the lead up and the Battle of Waterloo.
Yep.
And Napoleon's downfall there. We hear about his previous adventures, but it doesn't matter because the present is here in this battle. And
Yeah.
I guess even just that would connect to you more because you're not jumping around so much. You know of this guy, you know what he's done, you know what he's capable of. Now you get to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's so many better ways that I would have done this film that I'm kind of really disappointed in Mr. Ridley Scott. You should have known better. Like,
And
come on,
that's
man.
the other thing as well. Like we go back to historical like inaccuracies with this film. The whole Waterloo battle, for example, is a big one because he wasn't actually there at Waterloo when it happened. He
Well,
wasn't
there you
actually
go.
in the battle. So
Yep.
So yeah, and then there's just like stuff like that a lot of people were real pissed off about. And that's the thing. It would have been better, like you said, if they had from the beginning like his story, his retelling of it, or telling his children or whatever it was,
Yep.
being like, oh, so this is what happened, but it's all from Napoleon's perspective. And that's the thing.
Yep.
Everyone knows, or if you read up about him, that he was known to lie and about all his conquers and stuff like that, and the stuff that
Exaggerate.
he did. Exaggerate.
That's the word.
Yeah. And
That's the word.
That's the word.
Yes.
That's the word of the day. And that's the thing. If we had that from his perspective, maybe it would have been a bit more better film because then you could have been like, well, this is actually like how he saw it. Obviously, this is actually not really what happened and everything like that because you could have a whole thing at the end being like, oh yeah, no, it was all fake and stuff like that.
Well, they kind of did that anyway with his kids mentioning it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how that happened. And he's like, blah, 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 and then he dies. But yeah, if he was narrating this as like he's telling the story of his life to his kids while he's in exile, that could have been really cool. And that could have, had an excuse for it to jump around and things to happen without, showing it for 2 hours. You'd be like, oh, and then I became king. And his kids are like, what the hell? How'd you become king? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. But like, you can, it's just a storytelling device that allows you to do this in a really well done way. And he didn't do it. And I'm annoyed.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like going back to the actual, so much potential. Well, that's the thing. You got like two amazing actors in it as well, which like they did well. Vanessa Kirby and Phoenix did amazing with their roles and stuff like that. But it was just when you got to the scenes between the both of them and stuff like that, it just didn't. It was just weird in general. Like there wasn't any chemistry at all. It felt like a very forced, like one-sided relationship in a way, and it just very sterile in the way they acted towards one another as well.
I mean, take how they meet. They meet in like a really funny party scene where Napoleon doesn't say anything to her, and she's like, "Why are you staring at me?" And he just doesn't say anything. And then like 2 scenes later, they're getting married. There was no build up, or they didn't show the relationship in any way. They didn't show that they care about each other, apart from the fact Napoleon is obsessed with her in weird ways. But it's like she doesn't care about him.
Yeah.
Why? It's weird and badly done. I don't know, man. It's like, because that's what the majority of the movie is their relationship, but it doesn't make us believe that relationship is real.
And that's the thing. It just didn't like a story perspective as well. Like you just had no emotional like attachment to these characters whatsoever. Like they were both just assholes towards one another in a way, and just like
definitely
what the hell like type thing. Like I get it was a weird relationship and all the letters and stuff like that. But it was just the way that they showed it all and stuff like that was just very bizarre. That's for sure.
It was, and
then also can we talk about the unnecessary like sex scenes as well?
I was about to just bring that up because the relationship jumps around so much that you're like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's a scene, I think it's they just getting married and they're having like just a talk or an argument or something, and then it immediately cuts to him like fucking her from behind in the most random cut, just cuts straight into it. And I started laughing in the cinema. I was the only one that laughed at this because I was like, what the hell is this? This is so stupid.
It is.
And the scene's there for like 2 minutes of just them going at it. And then it's them talking. It's you don't need this.
But that's the thing,
So
though. There's
weird.
like scenes like that happen a few times where it just cuts to
happens
like
like
a sex
4
scene,
times.
and then it just cuts to like a complete another scene where they're talking again, like not in relation to what's happening in that same scene. And it's just like, why
They don't
Ridley
even
Scott?
change it.
Why?
All of the sex scenes are the same too. If you know, they're like
Yeah.
they're doing the same fucking position and everything. It's like
Yeah.
there's no point for this to be in the movie. We already know that he's trying to father a child with her. You can mention that. You can, like the dinner table scene, which I thought was really cool, where he's like, "You haven't given me a son. We've been trying for so long, and you haven't."
Yeah.
That's all you need. You don't need to give us 20 minutes of the most random sex scenes that we've ever seen in a war movie. What we thought was a war movie.
Yep.
And it's so weird because there's no emotion between the main characters. I feel like they're doing the best that they can. But the way the story is presented, there's no emotion. So when the sex scenes do happen, you laugh because it feels so out of place and random. It's like these people don't care about each other. This is stupid. Like,
Yep.
oh god, this movie. I'm so disappointed.
Movie. Yeah, it is a disappointing film. So did we want to get into final thoughts and ratings for this week's movie?
Did you want to start?
I can start. Yeah, that's the thing. Overall, the battle scenes for this were absolutely tremendous, and that's the thing. Ridley Scott does that well. And I hope when the 4-hour cut does get released, it is mainly focused on them, because that's the thing. We only saw a very small amount of his total battles and stuff like that. And he won 60 of them before Waterloo, before everything went to go downhill and stuff like that. And we only saw like 3 of them. And it would have been like interesting to see more of the whole Russian invasion and stuff like that, because that went very quick as well for how long he was there.
And that was so cool.
That was really cool.
That was awesome.
That
was one of my favorite parts of the film.
Yeah. And then same thing as Waterloo and stuff like that. I would have liked to see more of that, or more of like smaller battles and throughout it in a similar way they shot Waterloo. Even though that's the thing, because it's like if they went from that story perspective of he was telling the story, it would worked out way more better. Even the whole battle for Waterloo and stuff like that, because it's coming from his perspective. So he would have said, Napoleon would have said, I was there. Blah, blah, blah,
I led, I was there. I led the charge, you know, which would have been good.
Yes,
it would have made sense.
And
but he would have
like
said that he did. So
he would have said.
It makes so much sense.
And it would have been cool to focus on more key elements of his part. So when he did become king of France and everything like that, like actually how did he set those things into motion and stuff like that? Because that's the thing, you have these side characters like his generals and his brother as well and stuff like that. They're all like around, but they're really forgettable side characters. Like they don't have much of an impact.
Who they were.
Most of the time, I forgot who they were. It was because I was just like
so often.
But it's like he would have had people to help him become king and got as high as he did and stuff like that. And it would have been more cool to see the behind the scenes of him doing all that. So what stuff did he actually have to do than just focusing on the relationship part? Because that's the thing. That's the one thing in this film. Like it could have been probably 30 minutes of like spread out through this film. Even less, if I'm being honest, because it's just like it honestly didn't really work if at all. And I get like maybe that's what he was trying to go to, because obviously the letters that did get released that they did find of Napoleon with his wife, and there was a whole thing just with them themselves. It is very disturbing. With letters and stuff, like it is gross.
I just had a thought. You know how I would have done this film?
Yeah.
You can do it with the battles and just scrap the relationship entirely. Have that relationship be told through the letters that he's writing to her and things that people said. We don't actually see the two of them together. We just see it through like those letters as he's out conquering, and we get to see all of the battles. And it can also be him retelling the story. So it's like, there you go, Ridley Scott. You should have got me to write this film because I just fixed your 2.5 hour boring mess. All right, Barry, what do you give this out of?
I give this a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Which is low for a Ridley Scott film, but I just wasn't entertained really by this film at all compared to like past Ridley Scott films. There could have been something so amazingly done with this film, but it just lacked a lot of the key elements I thought we should have seen as an audience going into it that would have like hooked us and actually made it like a really cool film.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I was thinking this is going to be on the same level as Gladiator and stuff like that, like a historical drama of Ridley Scott. Like he's always done them so well and everything like that. But it was
Yeah.
just this time around, the overall story for it was just so mixed and so mismatched and so bloated. And there was just stuff that was just like irrelevant to the plot. And it was just like, why does that need to be in there? You know?
I don't know.
So yeah, 5 out of 10 for Napoleon.
I mean, use the Gladiator example. That's also a drama. He spends a lot of time trying to get back to his wife and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a similar story into this, right? It's Napoleon wanting to get back to his wife, but how much of his wife do we see in Gladiator? We see
she
enough for
dies
that
like
relationship.
the first 10 minutes of the movie, so
Yeah, but we see enough for that relationship to
spoilers
work,
for Gladiator.
Right? But that works. We get that emotion that the characters have, and instead of her dying, substitute that for her cheating on Napoleon and Napoleon writing letters and stuff. It's like we get that same emotional attachment, and we don't see it in a weird way that doesn't work, because something that we don't see works better than something we see and doesn't work, right? Like we see something and it's bad. But if we hear about something and we don't see anything of it, then we can't assume that it sucks or that it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gave it a 5 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And mostly that's due to the amazing battles in this film. I would watch just those. Honestly, they're so good. They're some of the coolest looking historical war battles I've seen in a long time, because most of it's practical. There's a few CGI elements to like the gore and some stuff, but most of it is practical. They're real people running around on fields, and it looks awesome. It's insanely good. Some of the best battles I've seen in years. So yeah, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 for that. It loses all of the points that it does due to that just terrible pacing and storytelling.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's going to be like interesting now to see what the 4-hour cut is actually, what content's going to be put out of it that's got taken out. Because you would think, well, Ridley Scott, he would have been like, oh, I'm going to make it as a 4-hour film because he's releasing a 4-hour film. So much of it has been, a full hour and a half has been then taken out to put into cinemas.
That's a lot of film. That's a whole film.
A lot of film. That is a whole entire film, basically. Removed. Like a lot of comedies and stuff like that around the hour and a half mark. So, you can do a lot. And it's just like, it's going to be very interesting to see, because I am going to try and watch it again, probably when the 4-hour cut comes out. Yeah. And then be like, does it change my opinion on this film? If it just goes more into the relationship stuff, which I hope it doesn't, then it's obviously going to stay the same. But if he actually went into more timing and the more of like how he got into power and the more information about Napoleon himself, because that's the one thing about this film as well. It's meant to be about Napoleon. A lot of the scene, every single scene should have been Napoleon in it. Every single scene. You have the title of the film's called Napoleon. He's like, it's mismatched between him and his wife, it's not about Josephine, it's about Napoleon.
Yeah, I that takes away from it as well, because if we see things just from his perspective, then it allows that relationship to be skewed in one direction. Rather than seeing stuff that he wouldn't know about. I don't know. It's just jarring, and it throws you out of this this. I want to say terrible movie, but it's not. It's a good movie, but it could have been so much better. And the fact that it's so disappointing is what really throws it down for me.
Yeah.
But we'll see how the 4-hour cut version is. We might even revisit it, or at least mention it.
We'll probably mention a director's cut, something like that, when it comes out. So
yeah, sure, we do.
So make sure, listeners, to follow us on the YouTube side of things for the director's cut. So yeah,
do that.
So on to the next topic at hand, something far more better than Napoleon. It's something, a little thing called
I need revenge. So arrogant, just like your father.
People of Earth, the more you resist, the worse this gets. And if you think you can stop us, don't forget, I'm...
So, yes, I finally got Clayton to finish part 1 of season 2 of Invincible. And oh my gosh, what a comeback for the show after a 2-year hiatus from season 1, which is like mind-boggling. It's already been 2 years. But this season 2 came in strong, that's for sure. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to go episode by episode? Because there's only 4 episodes to part 1 at the moment.
Yeah, we can do, but I also watch them back to back, so I couldn't tell you where one started and one ended.
okay.
But we can go through it.
All right, so
you
we'll
give us
start
the
off
thing.
with season 2, episode 1, A Lesson for Your Next Life. So basically, in the aftermath of his father's betrayal, Mark struggles with his responsibilities as Invincible and encounters an unexpected enemy. So yes, this is the first episode coming back straight in off the heels. I think it's only 6 months or something after the events of the end of season 2, where yes, Omni-Man, Nolan Grayson, J.K. Simmons, basically nearly killed his son, because season 1 still has such a big ending to it all and stuff like that, like father going against son.
Oh my god.
But the cool thing about episode 1 and what it did a little bit differently for the introduction to it, you actually got to see an alternate reality where Invincible teamed up with Omni-Man.
That's right.
Which was a bit mind-boggling.
Wacky. Very weird. I haven't read the Invincible comics. So everything that I'm seeing on screen, I'm seeing for the first time. I know of events that happen, roughly, but this is all seeing it for the first time. So coming hot off the heels of season 1, which is amazing, and it's such a great animated little superhero show that just, I don't know, blew everyone's minds when it came out because of how good it was. And now following up season 2, 2 years later, and it's just as good.
Yeah.
But it's also like they're doing multiverse shit. This is insane.
They're doing multiverse stuff, yes, because one of the characters
already insane.
They introduced into the first episode, which was Angstrom Levy, who is the African American guy in it. He's basically the guy that sets into motion all like the multiverse stuff that starts to happen in Invincible and everything like that. So they were just like teasing at it, and it was actually kind of cool to actually like, because he starts fighting off the Immortal. That's how it begins. And I was like, wait a minute, are they sparring with one another? But the Immortal's like going fully at it. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh no, he's actually like Invincible's got evil type thing. And then Omni-Man comes out and just cuts him in half again. Because, Immortal just keeps getting cut in half, but, he's immortal, so he keeps coming back.
He's immortal.
And then, we are introduced to Angstrom Levy's character, who then basically figures out he can go through multi-dimensions and stuff like that and zips away to our current timeline of things, and then basically gets the help of the twins, the big blue twins. I always forget their names.
Maulers. The Maulers.
The Maulers, yeah.
That's right.
You're
the clone, not me.
You're the clone, not me. And basically they build a big machine and with a whole bunch of Armstrongs, and it all goes to haywire because an Invincible goes in there, and there's a whole bunch of other Maulers from multi-dimensions, and then it explodes.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing. Everyone dies. The end. Well, they basically all die except one Mauler, and then one Angstrom with a whole hive mind of Angstroms in his head, thinking that Invincible is evil. And this is obviously what's hopefully going to tie into part 2 of this season, apparently. Because there's still stuff in the trailers.
I'd assume so.
Yeah.
So after that, what really happens? Because I know.
So that's
Should we just talk about it as a whole? Do you know exactly?
So
what
that's episode 1. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then basically in episode 2 is when he meets the Atlanteans and all the fish people and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right.
That's
he thinks
right.
He's gonna have to marry one. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. But before that though, he has to go up against Darkwing, which is
Batman.
Batman of this universe. Well, the apprentice of Batman. It's a whole thing because the original Darkwing died in season 1. So it's like
he started college yet, right?
Yeah, he started college.
Yeah, he starts college. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
Everyone returns. Everyone that's not
everyone
dead
returns
for this season.
And then like somehow he still has his goddamn current girlfriend who, spoilers,
Amber?
Amber. I don't like her as a character.
She's so annoying.
Yeah. Just get rid of her.
You're not supposed
to. No.
Mark doesn't get it.
No, but that's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't think she's going to be around too much longer because in the comics, he gets with Adam Eve. That becomes his wife and everything like that.
Better this season. Now. Like, at least she's okay with the whole superhero thing.
That's the thing. I'm just like waiting, and I hope it's this season where he finally realized, I should be with Eve and everything like that, because the whole connection that they have, even in the comics as well and stuff like that, is so well done. Those two characters and everything, and the stories and the adventures they have together.
They've hinted at it.
They've hinted at it.
They talked about it. Yeah.
But it's just like I wanted to get there already because the thing with the Invincible show compared to even the comic books, the timeline of things has jumped around quite a bit.
Yeah, they rearranged
like
lots.
that. They've rearranged a lot of it. I was even surprised by like already in this season how much they were like willing to put forward straight away. So yeah, basically in episode 2, he has to go to the Atlantic people because his Omni-Man killed the Atlantic King, and then Invincible was just like, well, I have to be here, to marry someone. But it turns out it wasn't. He has to fight a big giant sea creature Cthulhu thing, and that goes to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, he stops it.
He stops it because he's invincible. He just keeps going.
He's invincible. It's so funny.
It's great.
But it's so good. And then third episode is basically him with college stuff, right?
Yeah, and then most of it's actually about Thingy's character. I forget Seth Rogen's character, Alan the alien. This is the Alan episode.
Alan.
Yeah, because that's right. The whole intro as well is just like Alan.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah.
And this episode also was narrated, like in sections. Like it was being told through a thing. It was so cool and so different. I love it when they do little side episodes. Because, while Mark's at college, we follow Alan. And it's like, in order to save the universe, you have to be, and instead of invincible, it says Alan.
And then, basically, we find more about the coalition of planets and everything like that.
Optimus Prime?
Optimus Prime comes. When I heard his voice, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Peter Cullen. When I found out Peter Cullen was going to be in this show, I wasn't sure who he was going to voice. Because I didn't watch the trailer that didn't have these voice in it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's voicing Thaddeus!" I'm just like, "Yeah," because he's actually a very big key character in the comics and stuff. And looking forward to
he just sounds like Optimus Prime. Though.
He's always going to sound like Optimus Prime.
So good, but Alan. Basically, what happens that episode is Alan. We meet his weird blue girlfriend.
Yep.
There's a weird tentacle scene.
It gets hot and heavy.
Cut away from.
Yeah,
that's what Napoleon should have done. The narrator should have cut away.
Should have cut away.
Back to Mark.
Cuts back to Mark having sex with Amber, and then it goes back again to Alan.
Yeah, the narrator's like, "Oh, let's give him some privacy," and then we cut away, and then we're stuck on a cat for about 20 seconds. It was really funny. Yeah. But then Alan gets into a fight because he finds out there's a mole in the coalition of people against the Viltrum dudes. But before we get to find out any more of that, he's attacked at a space diner.
By the Viltrumites.
By 3 Viltrumites, and they just kick his ass.
Oh,
they literally tear his arm off, rip his guts out. They kill him. And everyone has to watch because they can't do it because it's in space. And they kick his ass. He's supposed to be like the guy that can compete with them, and he can't even take one. So it's
Nope. That's the thing. And this is the thing. This show's done well with the Viltrumites, especially introducing them like that. Was just like Viltrumites are meant to be terrifying and stuff like that, especially like pure Viltrumites and stuff like that. They are meant to be like the Supermans of this universe, essentially. And that's the thing. It's going to be so cool.
Of evil Superman.
Well, not a whole planet, but there's a few of them.
There is a few of them.
There is a few of them.
But there is a lot of evil Supermans.
Yes, and then basically at the end of that episode,
he's not dead.
He's not dead yet. Well, maybe we don't know because Peter Cullen,
in a hospital.
Optimus Prime's is like, I turn off your life support.
And he dies. So Alan's dead, which is a shame because I really like Alan.
It's all right. We'll see Alan again.
But now he's dead.
He's dead. Yeah.
It's a superhero show. Nobody stays dead.
Exactly. Multiverse.
Then we go back to Mark. And he bumps into Seance Dog, the Doctor Strange dog that's not actually real. And I thought that was really funny. And because it's not a dog, it's a bug.
It's a bug alien.
Space planet. And this is something I was not expecting them to do this early into the season as well. Yeah. Is when he goes off with the bug people to stop their planet from a bunch of asteroids killing them.
This goes into episode 4, which is the final one.
4. Yes.
So far.
So that kicks into 4. He goes there and finds that there's no asteroids, and instead the planet is ruled by Omni-Man. J.K. Simmons has called him, and he's like, "Hi, Mark. I think we should talk."
Exactly. And he's just chilling there.
Oh boy, he's just chilling there. So this is this was an insane like halfway through season because it's like I have no idea what's gonna happen next, and I can't wait to finish this show because
yes.
Mark finds out that Nolan, his dad, has another wife and another kid, which is really weird. But it's also like the bug people only live for a year. But it's also really weird because he had sex with
It's
a
a
bug
bug.
person.
He had sex with a bug person. Don't worry, it's even weirder in the comics.
Yeah, and Mark is freaking out of this, of course.
Yeah.
But Omni-Man's like, hey man, we should team up so that we can, train and fight the Viltrumites that are gonna come because they know about me and they know about me having kids with other races that I shouldn't. Sorry, it's a habit. But he does that, and then the 3 Viltrumites that killed Alan show up.
Yep.
And we end up with probably the coolest fight scene that I've seen since the end of season 1. Like, that was awesome. Yeah. We get this massive fight. Mark gets his ass kicked by all of them. Omni-Man kills, like, 2 of them, kind of. One of them doesn't die. It's a whole ass thing. Mark is stabbed and bleeding to death. The one that they thought they killed comes back, kicks both of their asses. He's, like, holding his guts. Nobody dies in this show. Everybody, like, is still alive, even though their guts are spilling out.
Like, it takes a lot to kill a person in this show, that's for sure. Even in the comics, it was a bit like that. It was just like, a person has been ripped to half. They're still alive.
It feels like it's got, like, kind of that Mortal Kombat syndrome, where it's you get ripped in half, but you're still fighting something.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it makes sense in this world. They're all superheroes. Sure, I'm sure they can go for longer. But yeah, this episode basically, or this part of the season, basically ends with Omni-Man being captured. They're going to take him back to Viltrum to hang him. And Mark is left alone on a planet with like a big stab wound and like broken bones, and he's bleeding out on a planet in the middle of nowhere. And that's how it ends.
That's how it ends. and then he gets told by General Craig, voiced by Clancy Brown,
right.
basically you have to take over what Omni-Man was trying to do and get planet Earth ready for the Viltrum Empire and stuff like that. Otherwise, he's going to go at war with the Viltrumites. No, he's not going to do.
But it's such a cool way to end. Oh my god, this show is so good.
And that's the thing in this episode as well, which was really cool. We actually got to see what Omni-Man was doing for the past like 6 months after the battle with Invincible.
Fucking bugs.
Yeah. And he was just traveling around in space, growing a beard.
Weird guy. Oh, that was such a cool segment.
That was such a cool segment.
The music in the show was really... It was Radiohead or something, right?
Yeah,
it was playing over it. I was like, the music in this show is so good, and he's just flying alone in space to He was going to kill himself by falling into a black hole. And then he decides to help stop these bugs from also getting sucked in the black hole, and he's like, maybe I'm not a bad guy. Which is such a cool way to do it, because Omni-Man's a terrible person, right? He's doing all of this for his race, but it's also like, inherently deep down, he's not actually a bad guy.
No, he still wants to do good, and that's the thing about and what they do well in the comics. Spoilers for the comic books. I would have to say, has the best redemption arc in any character I have probably ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Coming from the comics and everything like that, reading like how he went from like destroying the world basically and trying to kill his son to then like doing a full complete reversal, like 180 towards the end of the Invincible timeline and everything like that when they finish the comics. His story and what they're going to be doing now is so amazing, and I hope from what they can do, well, so far they've been doing a pretty good job, but what they do from the comics and relay that as a story for himself, because this is all setting up for other stuff now, which I'm really looking forward to. The reason why he's been taken away and what happens with that, and it's just like, it's really cool stuff is coming down the line. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I hope so, because this show's so good. The voice acting, especially, this is some of the best I've ever seen in an animated show ever.
Yeah.
It's so well done. I love every single line that these characters say, and the show's really funny.
Mark Hamill apparently was in this episode.
Was he?
Yeah, he voiced
a bug?
Art. He voiced, was Art the bug.
Oh, was that the main bug that like goes and gets him?
I'm trying to find that out.
I can't think of any named other bugs, right? Was that Mark Hamill?
That was Mark Hamill.
Huh.
Invincible art.
It was.
I'm trying to find who he is.
We're Googling it.
We're Googling it.
Bug.
Oh no, Art. Oh, I forgot. Art. Art's the costume maker. Because he has. Because there's the whole thing with Invincible's mum going on. That's right. That's who Art is. Yeah.
He was in season 1 as well. I did not know that was Mark Hamill.
That was Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
Walton.
It's got so many big names in it.
We just Clancy Brown was in there. Walton Goggins talking about Fallout early in the news. Walton Goggins voices Cecil. Obviously we've got J.K. Simmons as Nolan Grayson, Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson. And that's another thing as well. Seth Rogen is Alan. And then Stephen Yen as Mark Grayson as well. But even as well, Debbie Grayson's character as well, because she's obviously dealing with the aftermath of her husband finding out. And we get a lots with her, and they have done that so well, even compared to the comics. Because that's the thing with the comics, you don't see her at all, like barely at all. You don't see like this whole arc thing of how she's dealing with stuff. You just see her drinking all the time in the background. That's how they like showed her in the comics, which was quite sad. But they actually do this full story thing. They're following this she's breaking down because she's not sure about what the past 20 years of her life actually meant after finding out Omni-Man wants to take over. And then is Mark, and this is another thing with Mark's character, they show it quite well, is he doesn't want to become like his dad now. He's trying not to become like Omni-Man. He's doing the best that he can. And that's the thing, is that the eventual downfall to Invincible? Is he going to become like his dad?
I honestly don't know, and I love that I don't know.
Yeah.
Because this show is amazing. I want to read the comics, but also I don't, because I'm loving this show so much. I want to see what happens in the show, even though I'm probably going to have to wait another 20 years for it to finish at this rate.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because they're doing a lot of things in this show. They're speeding it up by quite a bit, I will admit, because already we're halfway through season 2, and he's already meeting his dad again, where this doesn't happen for I think a year or two normally after the whole fight fiasco. It was quite a bit of time where Invincible just he got a whole new suit as well. So, and I hope by the end of the season we see the new suit as well. They're teasing it with the logo at the moment. So,
I mean, but considering the show is doing this really well, the pacing of the show is so good. It's weird to see that it's jumping around from the original so much, but maybe that's why it's so good, is because they're like, hey, this worked, this didn't. Let's just go straight to here. Which is
that's
awesome,
the thing, because Robert Kirkman, who was the original writer for Invincible, is still a writer for this show. So he's still writing all of it for him, along with Corey Walker and Ryan Otley. So he's probably thinking, what would do better as a TV show? What story elements do I want to show? Because that's the thing. There's a lot of things when it comes down to comics, and the reason why they don't do one-for-one accurate, same thing as the MCU and DC and stuff like that, is because there's a lot of unnecessary stuff you don't really need to show and everything like that. But yeah, it's just how the way they're doing it so far with this story and everything like that, the pacing of it all is actually so much more better done than the comic books themselves. And that's the same thing with The Boys as well. What they did well with that was just following their own story elements. And because that's the thing, The Boys comic books, they're fucking wacky and bizarre and just
bad.
They're
not good.
No.
But the
and the show is
just
done so much more better. And that's the thing, this is another case as well, where I think the show is doing a better job than the comic. And as well, there is the one scene which was really cool to see, which is an homage to the comic book as well, is when Invincible and Omni-Man are fighting the other Viltrumites as well. There's a one post where they're both fighting in the same scene. Almost there's this one scene that's all slowed down. That in the actual comic books, they have that exact same pose and everything like that. But then in the background of it, it has all the additional scenes of them fighting and stuff like that. And it was that's a cool homage to the comics and stuff like that. And and that's the thing. It's going to be interesting to see where these characters go, what we're going to do with them, what they're going to show for the next half of the season, which doesn't come out to early next year now.
Next year.
I don't think they've had a couple more weeks.
I think it's January something, as they starting to do it weekly.
Okay, that's all right.
So there's
and then there'll be another 4 episodes as well. And then, from that, it will be like another year after we'll have season 3, and it'll be like a yearly cycle again until they're finished. So,
it's good.
Robert Kirkman said that they're on track now to keep it as a yearly cycle. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering it's doing so well, I'm sure that, they've got all the resources they need to keep it on track.
Oh, yes.
So,
yes.
If we had to rate just this half, we'll call it part 1. Invincible Season 2, part 1. We can rate it in 2 parts. I think that's the best way to do this, because we'll revisit it again later on. What would you give it out of 10?
I am currently sitting at a 9 for this season.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Nice. It's a good, solid 9. I am enjoying every single second of it. Like, I rewatched it, binged watched it yesterday again, these 4 episodes, just because like it's so good. And I don't know how many times I've watched the first season now of Invincible. Like, it would probably be definitely one of my like most rewatched seasons of like any show, just because it's so well done. I love these characters. I love that it is still at the end like a superhero show and stuff like that, but it's just like more of what I would want to see out of a superhero show and stuff like that, compared to like what MCU are doing and stuff like that. And it's actually showing more depth of characters and more of like the downside to it all and stuff like that. And there's more interesting characters as well, I reckon. So sitting on a 9.
Oh my God, it's so emotional, and it puts you in the head of these characters. And this is an animated show. You don't often see this.
I know. It's going to be interesting when they do the live action movie. So that's coming.
If it's going to live
that's
up
coming.
to it. Oh my God. Yeah. But until then, we get this amazing show. And it's so well done. So I'm sitting on an 8 out of 10 for this part 1. And that's mostly because we don't know what's happening next. I love that I don't know what's happening next, but I can't really rate it yet. So I'm sitting on 8 out of 10.
We could see Spider-Man in the next part.
We could, because they did a Marvel goddamn crossover. I do remember that.
And
I have seen that. I've read some of that.
There was like a couple of links that came out about what's happening in part 2, and someone was like, well, there might be a certain friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, I don't think you meant to say that.
That would actually be really cool.
It would be really cool. It would be really cool.
Very weird, but it would
also
be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm all for it. They're doing the show well enough that they can do wacky shit like that.
If they do like the Angstrom stuff, which I think is going to be how this season ends.
Seems like
they are going to do like the multiversal stuff and everything like that. So it's going to be kind of cool to see all that, because basically, spoilers, Mark just goes up against like an army of evil versions of him and everything like that. And then hopefully as well, we get to see the new suit by the end of the season, because the title cards at the moment, it's going from, what is it, red and black? It's going to black and blue behind it at the moment. And that's the thing. That's his next suit that he gets is a black and blue suit.
So no yellow?
No yellow.
I kind of like the yellow.
Yeah, he like goes through like multiple suits.
Like. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that's fair. It's a superhero show. You got to have a new suit every like 10 minutes. But I like the yellow. It just feels iconic now because I've been spent so much time with it. But that's cool. So 8 out of 10 from me, 9 out of 10 from you. Invincible Season 2. Halfway through, and it's really freaking good. I've got high hopes for the next half.
Oh, yes.
But I think that is going to bring us to the end of another episode, Barry. Episode 40.
Is the end. Oh, yeah. Episode 40, everyone. Congratulations to everyone.
We have over 500 listens.
Over 500 listeners.
We charted at number 35. Did you see that?
I saw all the stuff. You know, we
were number 35 in Australia for 5 days. I don't know what 5 days, but we were number 35. People are screaming. That's not cheering. Jesus Christ. Yeah, apparently we're the 35th best podcast in Australia at one point.
Yeah, in Australia at one point, which is kind of amazing to hear. Well, on Spotify anyway. On Spotify.
Yeah, but like, this is like, I don't get that.
Not a lot of people do podcasts in Australia. Let's be honest.
But it's like, you'd think there'd be at least 35 that have more.
We have a whole year to become number 1 on Spotify.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We're gonna aim for
number 1 in Australia anyway.
Let's aim for 30. If we crack 35, we'll aim for 30.
Okay, we'll do that.
We'll do that.
We'll do that.
We'll do that. All right, that's the end of episode 40.
Let's get to the episode. So thanks for joining, everyone. make sure to come out next week. You know, we're going to be here. Always talking about movies, talking about films. You know, we're here talking about things. I have been your host, Barry, joined by Clayton, and we will see you.
I'm Clayton. Hello.
Next week.
Episode 41, baby. Let's go. Halfway to 82. Are we really going to do 80 of these? My God.
Yeah, well, next year we'll bring it up to around 90 episodes by the end of the next year. So,
shit. Okay.
Because it's going to be, 52 episodes next year.
Fucking insane. Yeah.
52.
It's going to be close to 100 then, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's insane, man. That is insane.
That is 100 fucking hours of We Talk film.
I mean, I feel like we've already done like close to 100 hours. If we think about it, director's cut, setting up, everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, take into account like the 4 hours it took to fix like Chris's computer that one time, stuff like that.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, hi YouTube.
Hi,
We directing.
YouTubes. We do the director's cut, which normally we would have been talking about Invincible, but Clayton finally saw it, so we talked about it on the main.
I watched it
on the main segment, which is good.
And also, I didn't want to talk about Napoleon for an hour. That would have been boring.
No, that would have been. I was struggling to get through 15 minutes of it.
Yeah, we find that with some things. A lot of our complaints are that we kind of repeat stuff, and I feel like we're getting better. But it's hard
Slowly
when we see something like that we just kind of don't really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So, we did it.
It's talking about movies though, because you know me, I'm a fanatic and don't sleep whatsoever. So like in my downtime, I just keep watching movies upon movies, and I try to watch a movie literally every single night as much as I possibly can.
Wow.
Which is insane. Yeah.
I can't. It's
just don't sleep,
hard.
man.
I do
just don't sleep. Don't sleep.
That's too tough, bro. Man, all right. I mean, I could. I watched Oppenheimer again the other night.
I watched Oppenheimer again the other night.
Nice.
Well, actually, last night as well.
It's still really good.
It is still
really. Yeah, I watched it with my parents, and they both liked it as well.
Yeah.
It was. It's very hard to get them to agree to a 3-hour movie. But like, my dad sat through the whole thing. My mom didn't. But it was good.
Yeah. No, that is
good.
how you do a 3-hour film. That is how you make a movie. Still at this point in time,
and it feels fast. It does not feel like 3 hours.
Yeah,
there's a lot, and it's so good. That's what I wish Napoleon was. Oh,
that's what I wish Napoleon was.
Can you imagine a Chris Nolan Napoleon movie? That would be sick.
Imagine if he started doing like war epics and historical stuff and everything like that.
I'm not sure if it would work. Oh no! Wait, did he do Dunkirk? No.
Yeah, no, he did Dunkirk. Yeah. He did Dunkirk.
I mean, they're kind of, but that was a bit more self-contained, but that was really good. I like Dunkirk.
So imagine if you did like something around the like Roman Empire or something like that, you know, Christopher Nolan doing that type of stuff.
That could be cool. I mean, he said that he wants to do something a little less bleak. That's what he said, that his next movie is going to be something less bleak than Oppenheimer. So,
yeah, well, it is quite a shocking film,
maybe
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, maybe he can do something fun. Maybe he can do like Gremlins 3 or something.
Hey, sign us up.
I know you'd love that.
We'll do that.
We'll do it.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
definitely
we'll be
do that.
the Gremlins.
We'll be the Gremlins.
Yeah, I'll be the one that talks with the glasses.
Nice. The hot one. That's the hot one, definitely.
The hot one, the girl one?
No, the guy, the one with the glasses that's smart. Yeah. He's the sugar daddy.
The hot one? What about the giant spider?
Oh yeah, I got the giant spider one. And you got the female one, which was a hooker, which was weird. Then you had the salad one.
That was. I remember that.
Yeah.
That fucking movie, man. Jesus Christ.
It was wacky. It was so weird.
Oh, very. So we can tell our little director's cut audience what we're doing this week, because we've got a couple little special events happening, that we can talk about. Yeah.
Can we? Can we talk about it?
Yeah. I mean, tomorrow night we're attending the advanced diploma screening of some films that we worked on.
Because also, by the way, listeners, Clayton and I still go to a TAFE Institute where we are learning to become filmmakers, and so that's the reason why we are going to the screenings tomorrow and this week.
Yeah, we're professionals.
We're professionals.
So yeah, that'll be some 6-minute films that me and Barry worked on. We both worked on the same one, right? We
Minimum
both
wage.
did minimum wage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. When that's up, I'm sure that'll end up on YouTube afterwards. I think. We
I
can
hope so.
tell people to check that out. Because
Yep.
I was best boy.
I was
And what
unit
would you do?
assist, and then I got
Oh,
deathly
nice.
sick, so I didn't be best boy on the second day, or group assist, or something like
Oh,
whatever I was meant to be.
Oh, that's a shame. There's only
yeah.
one best boy, and it was me.
Don't try keto, kids.
Maybe it was your unit. Maybe that's why you were unit assist. And you just got everyone sick.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
we're doing that. And then Wednesday is the screening for our films. It's our review event for our 2-minute films, which I was director. I directed.
You
one.
were directed. You
and
directed
Barry-
one.
And I was
I
also
did
best
stuff for
boy
one.
on a different one. What did you do? You were both grip, weren't you? Oh no, you
No,
were.
I was first
AC
AC for yours, and then I was grip
and you were
for
the
the other
Yep,
one.
that's right.
Yeah.
I remember.
Because
I
I only
remember.
wanted to do background roles and stuff like that, because obviously we're working on special projects at the moment, which hopefully in the new year
Hush,
we can talk about. Hush hush. Because that's going to be
Hopefully.
cool. When we can start talking about that on the, like, we could talk about that forever on the director's cut. Like that's what we could do if we make it public. The director's cut becomes solely about what we're working
our
on.
stuff.
Talk about our stuff.
We've got so much shit that we're working on.
So much
We're-
stuff. And next year is
Yeah.
going to be probably the biggest year of our lives if everything goes ahead. So much to work on, but so little time.
Insane.
And hopefully we can tell everyone about it soon enough.
Hopefully, but until then, I think that's the end of another director's cut.
That is
I've
the
got
end
things
of
to
another
do.
director's cut. You've got things to do. I've got things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. By have things to do, I mean, I don't know, watching another movie maybe. All right,
nice.
catch you next
All right.
time. See ya.
Bye bye.